Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'll be doing a mousepad roundup of a couple pads that came up this year and I waited to do a roundup video for. All of these pads have been sent out for review, but this has never and will never affect or change my thoughts in any way. Before we begin, I like to ask you to subscribe because over 90% of you watching are not subscribed. To start off, I will be listing what I believe to be one of the most underrated mousepad releases this year. Very little people are actually talking about it. The FreeFall x Haus mousepad collab. This mousepad is special because of the base paired with the surface. FreeFall is known for their hard bases with absolutely no give to them, which means all the stopping power lies in the surface itself, skates, or the user's mouse control. Which to me is a massive win because when I play, sometimes I tend to press a little too hard without meaning to, and it leads to some inconsistent gameplay. But the SVBC Plus base is something that works really well with how I play. The Haus Edition surface is very smooth, with very little texture on the arm. Majority of the texture you feel will be on the mouse feet themselves. This is a speed pad, but as per FreeFall's reputation, not in the usual sense. The surface itself has low dynamic friction, but has some fairly high initial friction. When you're changing directions, you can feel a slight tug, which almost helps with the feeling of stopping power without digging or needing to press hard into your mouse pad, helping for some overall consistency. I found adjusting to this surface very easy and took little to no time at all. I feel like Haus himself went for a surface you can use in basically any game, and I found that to ring true. Whether it be in tracking, like COD or Apex, flicking scenarios like CS2, or anything, I felt like I performed great on this pad. The change from static to dynamic was pretty intuitive and it felt natural, not to mention the base itself being so firm, helping with my consistency overall. Moving on, we have the S1P from Piranha Mouse Mods. Now this is one of their debut mouse pads. Piranha is known for making 3D printed shells from mice to help cut down the weight or bring some old outdated shapes to life with wireless internals. So for this being their first mouse pad release ever, I am thoroughly impressed. This is a medium speed-ish pad with a fair amount of stopping power. The base itself sticks to my desk incredibly well without any moisture, as well as the stitching is also great and I have no complaints. It's soft, tight, and subsurface with no fraying or inconsistencies around the pad at all. The surface itself is a tad bit grainy, but still has a very smooth on the arm and mouse feet glide. For the initial friction, it's actually pretty low, with the dynamic friction being around the medium friction mark. From my testing, this pad's speed is heavily dependent on mouse feet. My recommended best experience on this pad specifically is Tiger Eyes V2 Dots or full-size X-Ray Pad Jades. I didn't find any skates, however, to be unusable in any way. This is just my preferred experience. My experience on the S1P has been pretty positive and mostly tested on tracking games like Black Ops 6 and Fortnite, but I also tried a very small amount on CS2, but that wasn't for long as that game just is a dumpster fire right now and I just can't enjoy it. They do have a control pad, I just don't have it here to showcase today, but this is more of a medium speed pad and isn't a Raiden clone by any means, so keep that in mind when purchasing. It's not too fast and it has a fair amount of stopping power. Next on the list, we have the Laonda Blitz. This is the pad that definitely surprised me the most this year. This did not come out this year, but I wasn't expecting much and it would have completely flown under my radar for even longer. If LGG hadn't sent this out, shout out LGG, this is one of the Wales mouse pads. Along with a large amount of Laonda pads, I believe this to be the fastest they offer. The base on the Blitz appears to be very similar to the one on the PMM mouse pad, but the Blitz doesn't stick to my desk nearly as well and requires a bit of moisture under it. But once you get a little bit of moisture under it, it does not have any issues sticking to the desk at all. It also has a similar firmness to the PMM S1P, but is slightly softer overall. The stitching is also amazing and I have no complaints. It's soft on the skin, subsurface, and without any consistencies across the board. It has some of the best stitching I've seen on pretty much any pad outside of Artisan and LGG. For the surface, I would probably say this is one of the fastest pads on the list. The slight bit of grainy texture feeling, but it's still soft and smooth on the mouse feet, paired with a low initial friction and a medium to low dynamic friction. It's made for a really natural and consistent experience for my playstyle and has been really satisfying overall to experience. I found it was really enjoyable for tracking games specifically, but it was definitely usable for TAC FPS as well because of the softness of the base. It's probably one of my favorite mouse pads that I tried this year, and moving forward, it might just be my main mouse pad for tracking games. This is definitely a surprise for me as I was ready to write this off, but it's definitely enjoyable, and say what you want about the creator, the mouse pad itself is great quality. I have really no complaints. Sometimes you have to be able to separate the art from the artist. And for the last pad of this video, it's the OwePowe WGR Skeleton. Now, OwePowe was a Chinese company that was after American-style comics and art. I feel like overall, a lot of these designs they offer are a miss. There are some typos and grammar issues on the design, and I felt it really took away from the quality of the design overall. OwePowe only sells one surface currently with a bunch of designs on it. Admittedly, this pad is pretty bang for your buck. You get a PU base, soft to the touch surface level stitching that's consistent around the perimeter of the pad, and a spandex nylon surface. The surface itself is smooth and comfortable to the touch, and smooth to your mouse feet horizontally. Now, I found this pad to be pretty weird overall though. The difference in feel between your horizontal and vertical is pretty odd. The horizontal is smooth and fast to the touch and on your mouse feet, while the vertical has noticeable change in texture and is a bit slower. Now, the different speeds between X and Y isn't new between mouse pads and isn't particularly an issue, but I felt the added texture when swiping up and down threw me off a little bit in use. I won't go as far to say that's a deal breaker, but keep in mind for purchasing decisions. The PU base sticks to my desk fairly well actually, and it's not stuck like glue. I can move it around a bit if I want, but in use it doesn't move around at all. Some input I have that I would like to see to improve this pad a ton is making the X and Y difference a little less noticeable while having a firm base option, as well as maybe a slightly more tasteful designs. That should be the end of this video. If you do have any questions at all, leave them down below, and thank you for watching.